What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Writers. We are a Kamen Rider review podcast, and today on the show, we're going to talk about Kamen Rider gavv episode 39. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
It's a beautiful night, Josh. Let's have a time together.
Yeah, it's a little rainy here, but that's a recent occurrence. But it was a super hot day. Other than that, here, very, very hot.
You'd be the best weatherman. Yeah, it's gonna be. It's just gonna be hot today. I don't know how else to put it. It's just one of those days.
It would either be me being resigned to the weather, being like, "You're just gonna have to deal with it, folks. This is just what it's gonna be, and everyone's got to put up with it," or it'd be making like innuendo, like it's gonna be a hot one, if you know what I'm saying. H-O-T, hot.
I think his name is Adam. There was an Instagram person that was just like Adam Weatherman or something along those lines.
Uh-huh.
He worked at a local station either in Texas or ended up in Texas at the end of this. But basically, it was a laid back enough station where like he was literally the weatherman, but he would take people's song suggestions on Instagram on the way to work and say like, what song do you want to see me work into the weather? And people would pick like rap songs, rock songs, metal songs, like anything. And he would actively like make them work into the weather every day.
Yep.
And like, it's one of the most, that would be my dream of people being like, oh yeah, someone fit like drowning pool bodies in the weather. I'd be like, you got it. And then you just go like, man, it's going to pour up here in eastern Seattle. And, the rain's going to fall like bodies hitting the floor. And he's like, and, something's definitely wrong with me, blah, blah, blah. And then just go for it.
He's Weather Adam. You were correct is who that guy is. And he's great. It was funny when I first like saw his videos, I was like, oh man, he's going to like get in trouble when these videos start going viral. Then I realized like, no, he's just like making people watch the weather. Like he's winning. Like his bosses will be happy.
It's one of those weird things of, is the engagement the right engagement you want?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Because at least for a video that Josh and I both watched, like there was the episode of when you showed me the video of Ludwig and William Osmond doing their How to Run a Business podcast.
Yeah.
There was a big discussion on like sponsorship and advertising, and some places when they're big enough, like their ad reads don't have to be like, oh, use Manscaped. Their hedge trimmer 4.0 is the nicest thing. And other places can get away with like, man, when your balls look like a jungle, you need this sack trimmer to really clean it up down there and raise that forest. And it's that same vibe of like, you just have to hope that the people you're around are like, there's enough of a positive correlation with your absurdity mixed with you actually doing what you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And that like the weatherman dude definitely found the right place of, wait, like all these people are watching our tiny ass little, probably like 500 person town's weather now. And like all the obviously engagement, like you said on Instagram, like as long, like he obviously he wasn't cursing or doing like non-family friendly things. So at that point you just have to hope that it's just it's like a win-win for everybody. He gets to be his goofy self. Tons of people are watching the weather on this random station that no one ever cared about before.
Yeah. It's always cool when a company can be cool like that. And you can find those types of like symbiotic relationships that actually work for everyone when it comes to like sponsorships and stuff, because they're super rare. But yeah, like it's nice when it works out and a company can realize that like, like doing this in a stupid way or like kind of making fun of your product is like the best way to do this, because then it comes across as authentic and like, there are yard ads for that they have completely crapped the bed in telling, but have made me remember the product more than just if they did a straight ad read. Like, I'm not really in the business of buying stuff from podcasts in general. I don't know if I ever have, but certainly I'm not any less inclined to buy anything that I've heard about on a bad ad read, air quotes, from the yard, just because, it's funny. Yeah, but like those things will stick in my brain for sure. Yeah, if we ever did ad reads, Toby, we'd have to just like do them in fart noises and stuff. I'm sure we have to figure out our version of that.
Yeah, like obviously you'd have to figure it. I guess like, we wouldn't want to just ruin our first actual advertising if we ever got one in the first place. But I would be tempted to.
Yeah, I'd blow it
Like
up.
it would.
I don't know. I'm not sure if you and I are a little older. I'll say it that way than a lot of the kids. Like from the era when we grew up. This is a thing I think about a lot. Like, and of course, like we're also coming from like music scenes where like DIY is like a huge thing and stuff like that too, and like selling out is like a core concept that you never want to be perceived as having sold out, right? And nowadays, like especially with like the kids who are streaming on Twitch and stuff, like selling out is almost the goal, and no one
Not
perceives
questioned it anymore.
exactly, and no one perceives it as negative. It's just like get that bag, right? Which is I guess cool. Like people are out there making money for doing their art. But I still am the old school thought of just like, oh man, ads on a podcast feels like selling out a little bit, even though that's like the way that people make money in podcasting. I definitely prefer the Patreon route, which we currently are doing at patreon.com/the comment writers. But yeah, it's hard for me to get over that mental hurdle still of like ads being a normal thing.
I guess like, specifically tied to that, like the music thing was always a weird one. And I guess I give it more of a pass to YouTuber, Twitch streamer kind of people, only because aside from like the super huge, famous, popular ones, I always felt like that's such like a finite timeline. It's like it's almost
Yeah.
like being a sports star. Like you're in your prime coming out of college. Your first year or two in pro, you might suck, but you need to go as hard as possible because eventually like your body gives out and you literally can't do it anymore. So like the end goal is if I have 5 years of getting paid, I need to make as much as humanly possible in those 5 years.
Yeah.
So like I think for like the streaming aspect of it, I give them the same pass because I feel like I haven't kept track nearly as much as I used to, but I don't feel like the big names I hear about in streaming change that much anymore, which makes me feel like the high end or the top tier kind of stagnated. So it just seems like just do what you can while you can, and then when it's inevitably over, then you give yourself a solid retirement, or
Yeah.
when you have to go find like an actual like 9 to 5 day night job, whatever, you're at least in the right direction for it. Of well, I have money saved as well. We're good to go.
Yeah. I mean, that's for sure. I feel that way too. I definitely don't fault anyone for being out there making money when they can, because that's true of like wrestlers and stuff too. Just as you were describing with other sports stars, like a wrestler is so rough on their body, they're not gonna like necessarily make it until they're 65 or whatever in retirement age. So like make that money while you can, man, and get out. That's awesome. It's just a weird personal thing that I think I would have a harder time, like you see streamers and stuff nowadays doing like sponsored streams where they're just like they're being paid to play a game, which is a cool thing if you're the streamer, but I think I would have a hard time like figuring out how to feel authentic in doing that. and that's a personal thing, but I'm happy that people are out there making money being able to do those things. Speaking of streamers though, being kind of stagnant, I feel like the opposite is true, and I feel like everyone who's popular right now like became popular during the pandemic. So like really like streamer age is like 4 or 5 years old at max right now. Like everybody who's big is like pandemic or after the pandemic.
Oh, I generally have no idea. So I guess there was another refresh, but again, like I guess more so, like the top tier is where all the money's at, and I feel like everyone else is just kind of there.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I just more so that vibe of like the top people deserve to make just as much too. I feel like they last a little longer, or like the names that you vaguely recognize, but like anyone else, if you can get an extra like $50 a month for a year or two, you might as well just put it aside, do your own thing.
Have you ever gotten? Well, I guess yeah. Have you ever gotten any money or like merchandise or access from a podcast? Have you ever like been granted something that you wouldn't have had otherwise because of like your YouTube or your podcasting?
I mean, Like other than getting games all the time,
Do you
or
get games? Do you get free stuff?
I did for not as much anymore, but I don't ask anymore or
Okay.
ask less, I guess. But like I have a category in my Steam account where I just named it like given a key because one day I was curious to keep track of how many games I was given, and I have 782 games in my Steam library that were given to me.
Holy crap. Okay. Yeah.
And granted, like I mean, some are garbage, but like the one that you and I talked about when we started talking more again, like I was given the AEW game, and that's not.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, so like that was like a bigger one that I got, but like it always depended
Sure.
because basically there's a site or two that you have to be, or you don't have to be like you don't have to be a content maker, but it's like made for those. And it's like these are the games that came out today. These are the PR people for the games and blah blah blah. So basically, I just had a like template email I would send of hey, like my name's Toby. This is my channel. This is my ranking. This is this.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And like asking PR people is easy because they don't care as much. Like I'm not emailing the dev and being like,
Yeah.
game key, please. But I'm asking the PR person who gets 100 emails that day of like, hey, do you have any more? But on the opposite of that, like I still get random emails now on my like YouTube channel email of, hey, here's a Steam key for it. Do you want to check this out? This might be fun for you. You should do this.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I've done that. Reach out to PR people a few times here and there. So like when I used to do like the more like entertainment, video game, movie news and stuff, I was like a little bit higher profile at that point and like was able to throw some numbers around that were a little bit that were like convincing enough that I was able to get some free games. That was always so it didn't happen very much because I didn't try very much, but I've tried a few times and it worked out. And that was always really fun because that was always like the only thing that I ever wanted from like when I was young and dreaming of like podcasting was like if I could just get free video games, like I'm just made. Like that's all I
yeah,
need. Yeah.
that's why I live my dream. Like I don't get a ton of views. I don't not any sort of successful channel, but I got enough where people are like, oh, you want free video games? Here you go. And to me, that's the childhood dream. Like people are giving me games to play. And like kind of tied to that too, years and years ago, someone I met through playing Xbox had his own movie review website.
Uh-huh.
And I wrote for him for a long time, or like a couple of years, not a long time, but almost the same vibe of like people just send me DVDs and I get to like watch them and review them or whatever. And like there's a short film that I'd have to try to find the name of it again. But like my name is a box quote on a movie. And that's awesome to me too.
That's so freaking cool. Yeah. That's great. I think my favorite stuff that I ever got, like, because of the podcasting and stuff, was the couple times that I've gone to conventions with press passes. And that's so much fun because like usually you get your own little like private little press room that you can go to and you feel a little special. And then sometimes you even get on the floor a little early because you have the press pass, but just the fact of just not paying to go to a con is also really awesome. So yeah, there's been a few cons that I've gone to that I've covered, and gotten a press pass for, which has been fun. So that's like the height of my I guess acquiring of goods from podcasting.
Yeah, like I guess in general, it's just the validation is really all I.
Yeah, for sure. That was always the exciting part. And speaking of exciting things, Toby, I mentioned our patreon.com/thecommentwriters is very exciting. For just $3 a month, you can get access to all of our bonus content that we put out. We just finished up Common Writer O's. If you want to watch all of O's along with us, that's all available right now on the Patreon. We are diving in to Dawn Brothers. That's our newest series, and quite liking that so far, despite how crazy it is. And
we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're learning some stuff.
Yeah. And we're also watching Goes Yuger. So we are in a pretty Sentai period of bonus content right now. So if you like us talking about Kamen Rider, but wish you heard us talking about Sentai more often, the Patreon is where you can get your fill of that. Patreon.com/the comment writers. Toby, let's jump into the meat of this show here now, which is, as I said, talking about Kamen Rider. Because we have to talk about Kamen Rider Gav episode 39. That's what we watched for this week.
It's what we're here for.
That is what we've gathered the people here for sure. And, maybe we should talk about the big ending of this episode first, because I feel like this episode is very much like very cute slice of life scenes, and then traumatic stuff happens at the end. So I kind of want to talk about...
I made the joke last time. It's like Poppy's Christmas.
Yep.
And yeah, it's like Poppy's Christmas again.
Absolutely it is. So let's talk about the Poppy's Christmas part of it. And then we can highlight some of the like other stuff that we did like. But I guess the big thing that happens in this episode is that Glotta kills Uncle Denty. And then Glotta seemingly gets murdered herself, blown away by Shoma.
There's a lot of rage, and the final 4 or 5 minutes of the episode was like everyone just running as hot as possible.
Yeah,
emotions flying all over the place, all sorts of insanity.
That was such a cool juxtaposition from the rest of the episode, because the rest of the episode very much feels like having a good time, slice of life. We're all gonna make pudding together. Like it is the most happy-go-lucky that Gav has gotten, and Gav like lives in that world of happy-go-lucky a lot of times. To then, yeah, like you said, cut to everyone's on high alert, emotions going crazy. We have Rakia figuring out that Glotta was actually the person who killed his brother, because of the wound he saw from where she killed Uncle Denty. We have him just deciding he's going to go murder her, but not having the skills to do it. Shoma's got to come in and finish the job. Like, there's just so much happening. Yeah.
It was also like, at first, because they did a pretty good job of like, I guess like front loading or keeping that conversation kind of vague until it was like confirmed. Because it's not the first time we saw the scythe slash of, hey, I recognize this slash that matches the tree. It does this.
Yep.
And at first she's like, no, I didn't do it. And at that point, I mean, it happens kind of quick. But then I was sitting there thinking of like, wait, did she actually not do it either? Like, is there actually like a third person to come back to like get back to with this and be like, well, no, it was actually this person. So he's like, no, you had to. If everything matches, it's this. There's no way it wasn't you. And she gets this look on her face where she says something along the lines of, well, yeah, there's so many people I've killed and they're all such garbage that I don't even care if it was or not. I probably did do it.
Yep.
And he's like hulks out. And like, it was such like she was already like in her own negative headspace, a mess. And she just was like dragging everyone else down with her.
Yeah. I really appreciated that the show, let her do the thing of like, for me, it was just Tuesday. Like I don't remember killing your brother, but also then kind of confirmed that it was her for sure that killed the brother. Like they did both. And I thought that it was very expertly well done that they were able to like confirm that it was actually her, but also let her be very aloof still about having killed him, because, I kill so many underachievers. Why am I going to remember one of them? And, whatever.
And that's basically what the vibe was. It was because they would, I guess, tied to a couple episodes coming into this one then too. It was cracking down on the whole, like we're going to clean up all the garbage salespeople, all the garbage anthro-oppressors, who's ever slacking off here. We're going to make sure they get out of here. So there's like a follow-up-ish to that conversation, or she was like, oh yeah, like anyone that's ever been bad at their job, I just fucking murder them. What do I care?
Yeah, who's just out. Which she has proven that is what she does. In fact, yeah. Obviously, this was the end of Glotta, but I liked her little arc that they gave her in this episode. They kind of have been like building towards it for a few episodes, but I love.
Before you went, do you actually think she's gone? Or is she gonna get one more week?
She might get one more week. Yeah, potentially. Like so at the end, we see Shoma run in. He gives her like the One Punch Man punch. There's like a crater that they look at. Like he like punched her through the woods, and he left like a giant crater, but we don't really like see a body necessarily. But the show generally in the past has been pretty good about if someone is going to be alive, they'll show them like limping away or something. Like they did that with Jeeb, right? Um, so we didn't get to see her limp away. So there's a chance that she's dead, but it wouldn't shock me if she was around for another week too.
I guess because we're getting so close to the end, and it seems like the whole vibe is going to be Shoma's killing his whole family. Like, I'm forced to believe she's dead.
Yeah.
I just don't know that she's dead, I guess.
That's kind of what I'm operating on as well. It's like it seems like we are eliminating them one by one, and her going next would make some sense, but there's a chance that they swerve us too. But they do give her an arc here. So if they killed her off, it makes sense because they basically present that like, oh, she actually really cares about her family. Like family matters a lot to her, and in a way that she's kind of refusing to admit. But the fact that she has lost so much of her family and that, the only ones that are left are like, her brother, the tinkerer who she's kind of at odds with. Like she kind of has no one left. And like, and Jeeb was her last, like, I don't know, her last cohort. And now he is sort of like morphed and become this other thing that she doesn't understand. So it was kind of a cool way to like put her on an island, I think, for this episode and like lead to her, doing drastic things and killing Denti.
I was like, I guess to work backwards off of that too. So like the crux was she was yelling at Pidgey about giving G Black Gav, mainly because the vibe was, you're setting him up to get killed. We know what's probably going to happen here. Like, why would you do this?
Yep.
And Pidgey's like, well, if I would have told you I was going to do it, you would have stomped in here and yelled at me like you're doing now. So rather than even deal with that, I just set Jeeb up to go do whatever. Have at it. So she like punches his little science tablet out of his hand. It somehow scrolls to a picture of Dente laying on the ground in his cave. So she goes down to visit Dente and she's like, this is all your fault. You're setting up all these horrible things. This is happening because of you now. Dente's like, I feel how empty you are inside. I'm sorry that you feel this way. You can stay here with me if you want to. Like, you don't have to be so lonely. You're telling me most of your family's dead, but you have a brother that's still down here. Like, you can be friends with Shoma too. It's no big deal. And basically every time he tells her that she's lonely and empty, she just gets more and more pissed off until she kills him.
Yeah. Which really like was a cool way for him to go out too, because he puts his foot down about like, hey, I'm not going back. Like, I know you're here to like drag me back. I'm not doing it. So like basically he's telling her like, kill me if you have to, but like you should stay here. Yeah, you should start a new life. You've got a brother.
You have more family that you're ignoring. Like,
yeah.
You have more family. Don't keep your back turned to him too. And then
she does hit him with like a real vicious like, I'm not gonna stoop to like groveling with like with the runt that is my brother. Like I'm not gonna do that.
Poor little Shoma can't win.
He cannot. No. So Glotto, having a real rough time there. Denti, like I said, I think went out like a hero here. I really liked his whole last speech to Glotta. When she came looking for him after she found out he was still alive. I think the writing was on the wall of what was going to happen, but he, I liked sort of like what he presented at the end. It is crazy to me, Toby, that they did the Denti died bit in a previous episode and then fooled us, and then they pulled it again in this episode before they killed him later in this episode. That's crazy. That is crazy work.
They swerved it a bunch of times. And especially too, I mean, like, I guess they set up for it more. I'm going to say vaguely more last week, only because I think, or it might have been 2 ago. I forget when it was. When, it was last week, when Hanto was like, I'm not going to kill you. I know you're not going to be a piece of shit Grenouille anymore. I'm let this guy go. And then Glotta went and found him anyway. Was just like, nope, you're a garbage worker. See you later, man. And killed him. So I guess it's kind of like tied to that ish, but like, yeah, they did a good swerve. I definitely didn't see it coming. I didn't think they'd do almost the same thing twice. You and I definitely thought that Dente was safe after the not getting murdered so far. So it just all kind of fell apart.
Yeah. Do you think her this is maybe me reaching a little bit, but when Nielv told her basically like, yeah, I didn't tell you about Jeeb because you would have just fought with me and I didn't want to deal with it. So I just didn't tell you. That reminded me, you know how people talk about like, failed marriages and talk about like, well, when you stop fighting, that's the problem, right? Like if you still are fighting with each other, then like there's a chance that you can
care
save
enough
it.
to fight.
Exactly.
There's still any sort of emotion there to
Yep.
keep the things moving.
But when you stop fighting, well, that's when it's truly dead. And that kind of felt like that. I'm just like, oh, he didn't even want to bother to fight with you. You really aren't his sister anymore. Like he doesn't care.
Yeah, like I feel like they forced him to check out the earliest, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah,
just
definitely.
because of how his arc of the story was. He vaguely seemed important in the beginning, and I feel like since he started making Bitter Gavv, I guess we'll call it, he seemed like he was kind of pushed out and just doing his own thing, and that would have been like 20 plus episodes ago at this point,
Yeah,
if not more. Like he's just been on his own little island as it is. So she definitely knew he was gone. Once she went to visit Jeeb and his wife, and his wife was like, "No, like he's my toy. He's here. Leave him the hell alone. Like we're gonna do our own stuff together." I think that was like the last for Glada on that one. So I guess they've kind of been building up her loneliness for a while now.
Yeah,
and it
sure.
just seems more obvious now that it's been locked in, and we can reminisce back on it and go, "Oh yeah, there's shit did happen here."
Yeah, and like good on them because like that's the thing that they, this is a series that so often will introduce things right away, right before they happen, without any foreshadowing, and they did a great job of foreshadowing this one of introducing this loneliness concept for her, in a very like subtle, natural way. It makes a lot of sense. And then of course the rest of this episode is, like I said, very slice of life. The big crux of the episode is that we are going to visit Uncle Denty. He's wanting some snacks. He's not motivated to work on Rakia's driver and the stuff that he wanted him to make. So he needs some snacks. He wants to go out in the real world and have a little snack tour, but then they realize, well, we outed all the Granoots, so we can't really do that anymore. You'll get killed.
And not even that. They did the flashback of, oh, remember that one time we tried to take you out?
Yeah.
And it was just him with like a frilly straw hat on. And everyone just like screaming and freaking out at him. I thought that was amazing. Like a nice little like go away touch of, oh, look, we tried. We can't bring this guy out. He's just kind of a mess.
Yep. So as a make good with Denty, they decide to bring the desserts to him, and they're going to make a pudding. I guess it's a special pudding that requires a special plate. They have to go buy the plate and bring all the ingredients down there. It's very cute. The concept of them going out and shopping and buying all this stuff and then hiking it into his cave is kind of adorable. I really like that whole concept.
That whole thing was good. And even then, like Sachika and her new actual best friend, Rakia, which I think the two of their, as fun as like her and Shoma was, my joke was always mother-son vibe of like, my goofy little kid, he doesn't know how the world works and everything else. Like, I feel like they present the Sachika and Rakia friendship as an actual like partnership more, where they're equals,
Yeah.
I guess, and in that kind of vibe. So like her and him going shopping together as in their own little adventure, I thought was awesome, especially when she took Rakia to. They needed the proper metal plate for the pudding display because it only looks proper on a certain plate. So they went to like the antique store, and Rocky was like, "You can't eat this plate; it wouldn't taste good." And the sales clerks were like, "Oh, that's an interesting way to look at this."
Yeah.
So they went through a bunch of plates, and one was too acidic, and like it was always, this one looks too acidic to eat, and it was never to eat off of. It was always just a hard stop at eat.
Yeah.
But the antique people, I guess thought they heard to eat off of, or like they rolled with that vibe. So they were like, wow, you're so peculiar. That's a really great way of looking at this, though. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, they're like assuming he's some like savant or something about decorating and about plates and stuff, but really he just wants to eat things. Just
Yeah, he just knows, like, if I ate this plate, it would taste like crap mixed with pudding. So we're not going to use this plate.
I completely agree with you though. I think that Sachika and Shoma, it's like a nurturing relationship, and then when it comes to her and Rakia, she'll like poke him and prod him in more of a friendly way, and like she will poke fun at the fact that he is antisocial, and like she'll kind of like she teaches him lessons like that where she doesn't do the same thing with Shoma, and she doesn't really even with Hanto as much. She does maybe more with Hanto, but like her and Rakia are the duo all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Um,
I've in general, I guess it's just to set up what's going to be the ending arc here. But like Hanto's just always off doing his own thing. Like
yeah,
from him being like one of the trio, I feel like he's really like the fourth wheel at this point. Because Sachika and Shoma, you're not gonna be able to separate. Sachika definitely seems like she spends more time with Rakia recently, and that like Hanto is just like off doing his own adventure. Like this time they I completely forgot about it, but we're spinning back up the, oh yeah, Shoma has parents somewhere. We should go find them.
yeah.
And that was like Hanto's like 30 seconds in the episode of, oh hey, like, hey Shoma, what's up? And Shoma's like, hey buddy, how you doing? He's like, good. I'll see you later. And then he like kind of looks at his little notebook again and like, oh yeah, the address should be around here. This should be somewhere. So I completely forgot that was a storyline.
Yeah, that scene was
Uh,
so strange. Let's talk about that scene because it was the only part of the show really that Hanto is in, and it's Shoma runs into that frickin' candy store owner in the grocery store. This guy's gonna turn out to be like a granute that kills everyone, or something's gonna happen because this guy is in the show so freaking much for like a nonsense character. Shoma runs into him, and then it's just like following him home for some reason. And then Hanto runs into them, and they make the most awkward small talk for a little bit, and then they all go their separate ways. That scene was so strange to me. I don't know what they were trying to do, but it's just so weird. But yeah, Hanto's only involvement was basically reminding us that he's still hunting down Shoma's mom.
and again, like it hasn't been a thing. I guess there's something like, I guess because they're in the gap now of we have to start closing up story arcs,
Yeah.
that they're finding time to close them. Like compared to, I think when we got to the end of Godchard, I had a list of like 8 things that I was keeping track of the whole series. And I was like, Josh, these are the 8 things that need to be closed tonight, or else like they're never being discussed again. And Godchard missed a good half of them, I feel like, if not a little bit more. But this one is at least it'll bring back like a chunk of those unclosed stories at a time. And then they'll be like, oh, today's the day we're doing this one. And things come roaring back. It's like back to the forefront, and then like they close it out.
Yep.
So I guess just because we haven't, the last time we mentioned Shoma's mom or grandmother or rest of the family, everyone
I
call
think
it.
yeah, just basically like he's looking for her name, but I think more to try to find next of kin, basically, right? Like the rest of the family.
I guess what had been like,
Yeah.
like if Shoma's mom's dead, I was the assumption. So I
Yeah,
guess like
I
the
think
next of kin.
yeah, I think we saw her die, right? Or Shoma saw her die.
Yeah. So I completely forgot about it, but that was an open piece of the story. And now they're like, okay, we're going to do the nudge this week.
Yeah.
And I'll assume the main crux of next week is going to be Hanto finding them, or the next 2 of Hanto finding them, because I think the show is good enough at all the things it does, where I don't think they're going to leave anything open-ended, especially something as big as Shoma's family, because they've done so good with everything else. And it's definitely a family tale, especially with like Lotta dying most likely today because the family is basically not a family anymore. And
Yeah, I think that this show in general is like much more cleanly written than like Gotchard as an example. Like you said, like Gotchard threw out so many like loose ends that then they barely tied some of them up and definitely just left some hanging. And I feel like so far this show is doing a great job at like going back and plucking the threads that it still wants you to remember. And like the Hanto stuff, like specifically, is like they introduced the concept that he is going behind Shoma's back to hunt down the family, and then they've retouched on it at least 2 or 3 times now, of like, oh, he's out investigating, he's crossing names off of his list. So that's cool that they'll keep him in the storyline. They won't let you forget about him, and they're doing a good job of like actually resolving things as we go along. So hopefully they can land that plane, but it feels like right now at least that they are much more adept at it than the crew was during Gotchard.
And like the thing too with that is, by the time that I brought it up to you, the series was legitimately almost over.
Yeah.
Like it was like episode 45 of what we knew to be 46 or 47, where I was like, Josh, there's no way that this is wrapping up the way that, like, me, Toby specifically, was going to be happy with a lot of the pieces. But if we're assuming this is a normal run season, there's at least 6 episodes left, if not more. And they have plenty of runway to like land everything that they want to and close a lot of shit up and make it good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Toby, let's jump over and let's read some emails. We got a few emails this week. I want to make sure we get through all of them. So let's jump over there. Our email address, of course, is cast@commonwritersucks.com. Once again, that is cast@commonwritersucks.com. If you would like to send us in an email. And our first email this week comes in from our friend Shade. Shade says, they've tricked us, bamboozled us. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the writer being really sick and twisted. Anybody remember the last time when I said that somebody else is going to suffer now that Hanto is emotionally stable? Well. What made this even worse was that they baited us with Denti's death twice.
Yeah.
The first time a few episodes back, the second time at the start of this ep. We've been tricked, bamboozled. Yeah, I can't believe that they did that twice. And in the episode where he eventually dies to do it is so funny. Shade says, anyway, there wasn't a lot of interesting news this week, unless you guys want to hear about gavv movie spoilers or the new Kuga exhibition. So let's check out the producer's blog. To commemorate Denti's death in the episode, producer Naomi Takebi talks about the actors who portray the character. The voice actor who portrays Uncle Denti is Tadano Yohei, who has had some experience playing a toku monster in the past. He previously appeared in Choko Senshi Changerian, which was the 1996 Sentai, as both the voice and human disguise of a monster. What monster specifically, I don't know. Producer Takebi then mentions that her rule of thumb when casting for voice actors on tokusatsu programs is to find someone who can act in a way that blends well with the live action. For that reason, she often chooses people who have done stage work or have done a lot of dubbing. For example, she specifically praises Suga's actor's performance, as he's also someone who has done a lot of stage work. The suit actor who portrays Denti is Okamoto Jiro, a veteran suit actor. His first and most popular role is Kamen Rider Black and Black RX from 87 and 89. Shade says, I watched a bit of the OG Black. I can confirm he pulled off some wild stunts in the series. And the reason why he was cast as Uncle Denti is because, quote, he looked like someone who would help and support Shoma.
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, I guess.
The blog mentions that after working on gavv, their knowledge and skills on sweets has steadily improved. And for example, when pouring stuff onto people, using rice flour is preferred over wheat flour when considering post-processing. I don't know why, but they know which flour is best to pour on someone.
I guess it's a skill, a talent. I don't know, whatever we want to call that.
The blog then gushes about this scene in particular, which is, I think, the Sachika and Rakia scene where they are kind of having a heart-to-heart. And the quote is, I'm glad you changed your part-time job to happy pare, Rakia, and then crying emoji. Rakia also had a new character song drop called A Ray of Light. So that's out on YouTube now. And Shade says, this episode and the next are actually directed by the main director of Boon Boomjer. He just got done filming for Boon Boomjer's finale before he went on to direct these 2 episodes. which is why there were some small snippets of comedy here and there.
We got swerved on that, I think, during Boon Boomer, when Gottschalk sucked, or was in like one of its lulls. And I feel like the Boon Boomer director had an episode or two. And I remember this coming up, and I was like, Josh, we're gonna bring it back because Boon Boomer is super solid and Gottschalk's slacking. Like, this is gonna be a good episode. And I remember the Gottschalk episode still being bad. Well, so I don't know that. I don't trust this person anymore.
Interestingly, Rocky's actor discussed with the director on whether or not he should take his hat off in the scene where Denti died. And
I think he should show him his respect. I would agree with that.
And he does. He takes the little hat off. Yeah. Some interesting tidbits about the Gochizos in the scene. So if you remember, there's the scene where Shoma is chopping different like fruits and vegetables, and the Gochizos
are dancing, multiplying, and having a party, and
they're like acting out the chopping that's happening. Like they like line up and then fall down and stuff. So that's the scene in question. It says, usually, even if it's a composite cut, we ask the voice actors to record the voices first. But for this scene, we asked the voice acting team to record the voices again once the composite was completed. They put in a lot of effort. It makes you wonder if this is how the Gochizo spend their days.
Screwing around, probably.
Yeah, just screwing around and pretending to be chopped fruit. That's great.
Chopped huzz.
It took everything in my power to not say chopped huzz, and then you said it. How dare you? The blog also talks about Glada's actress working on set. Chitose-san does not have much experience in action, but it was impressive to see her trying one movement many times in pre-rehearsals until she had memorized the cool movement. Also, Glada's costume is quite breathable, or rather, it exposes a lot of skin. But she was able to focus incredibly on the midwinter shoot, which was mostly outdoors. So she was apparently freezing her nips off during that shoot. Although the character's personality and appearance are far removed from the real person, when Chitose-san came to a scene where she didn't appear without her makeup, the staff on site, including the director, didn't notice. Her approach to Glada was amazing, both in the main story and at the event. Go ahead.
I will say, for like most shows, medias I enjoy, like I try to follow most of the actors, actresses, whatever, just because it's interesting to see who they are as humans not doing the show. And all in the beginning, like, I think she still does it, but Glada's actress usually live blogs along with the episodes, which is why I said in the past, I try to avoid her notifications on like Saturday afternoon for the Eastern US until like Sunday morning, because she's usually live blogging it. But I know they do a lot of work with makeup, and makeup makes people look dramatically different. But Glada as a human being and not in like the Glada makeup, I don't know that I would recognize her either. Like she like they, for whatever they do with like her eyes or the face or something, like she looks distinctly different. So I can kind of see like her being there, not noticing right away, because like Glada versus Chitose actress, whatever her name was, is a distinctly different face.
Yeah, I feel like that's true for me of a lot of Toku characters, because like it'll be like their real hair, quote unquote, will be like dramatically different than their character's hair, and that will just be enough for me to not recognize them whatsoever. But yeah, her specifically, the makeup's completely different, her hair's completely different without the extensions and stuff. Obviously, she dresses very differently generally, and yeah, she doesn't look evil. So that's a big difference from her character. Yeah, she's definitely one of the big ones for sure. I also feel like Buffa was one that I would see sometimes and be like, I know that this is the same person, but I just can't even see it. I can't even recognize that it is the same person.
It took us a while to figure out Taya was still Taya.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And he like, and all it took for him was like not well done hair, and glasses.
Yeah.
The glasses like Clark Kent. That was a perfect costume. I know people always mocked, why don't people recognize Superman's Clark Kent? All he does is take off the nerd glasses. But they do wonders, apparently.
Yeah, they do.
They do wonders.
That's exactly. So Shade, thanks very much for the email. Toby, our next email comes in from Jordan. Jordan has written in before to give us the hot dish on O's. And this week, Jordan is back to give us some tidbits about Don Brothers, and specifically the monsters for this season, which Jordan says are called the Hitosuki. As you've mentioned, Josh, the Don Brothers are based on the Tale of Momotaro. The team consists of Don Momotaro, Oni sister, Kiji brother, Saru brother, and Inu brother. Don Momo is, of course, based on Momotaro from the legend, and Kiji, Saru, and Inu are based on his companions, a pheasant, a monkey, and a dog. The Oni was actually the main villain from the story. Next is about the Hitosuki. You guys were correct in your assumptions about them being generated from strong emotions. The first two from episode 1 are called Benetsuki and Shitsosuki, with the third and final one is called Shirikyu, and is based on the 43rd Sentai season, which is Ryu Solger. All the Hitosuki we will see from this point on will be based on past Sentai teams. Episode 2 gives us the Rashaki, based off of the 38th Sentai season, which is Tokuger. Jordan says, I like the Hitosuki a lot. The people who become them often reflect a Sentai they are based from. Rashaki is an old woman who wants to be young again. In contrast, the Tokuger team were the kids who were turned into adults and fight to reclaim their hometown and childhood. And lastly, we have Zenkaiser Black, once again played by Kita Komajin, probably terrible name pronunciation, but there we go, who reprises his role as Gaito Goshikita from the previous series. I will say this now, the two Zenkaisers are not the same. It's never explained as to who or what Black Kaido is. Great. It's good to know that they introduce a mystery that they never explain. All right, so that's some interesting tidbits about the series. Yeah, I didn't realize until I think in our Discord it was being discussed as well that the monsters were going to be based on previous Sentai in Don Brothers, because the first two aren't, right, and then they kind of start. So I didn't realize that was going to continue to be a trend. But that's cool. I'm into it.
Whatever they gotta do. It's a show. Give me the lore I don't understand. It's the same as it could be a new monster, it could be a 5-season-old monster. It's all the same to me.
Toby, our final email comes in from our friend Carl. If you remember Carl, for those of you who might be new, maybe this is the first time hearing a Carl email. Carl likes to write in with suggestions.
Great business plans.
Exactly, great business plans. Great, ads. Certainly no issues with them that we can speak of. So we'll see if that's what's going on here again. This is says, hi Toby and Josh, long time no see. Read? ? Hope you all have been doing well. Starting off as always, I have a business idea of the week for you. This one is called Henshin and Go. You and Toby launch a sleek Uber-style mobile app, Henshin and Go, with a heroic twist. The riders are 100% free. The rides, rather, are 100% free, limited to one passenger per trip, and only available if your destination happens to be along the route of a common rider rushing to battle the villain of the week. Before riding, users sign a strict NDA to protect the rider's secret identity and a liability waiver in case a mid-fight monster attack sends them flying off the bike. The trade-off, free high-speed transportation with a legendary twist that captures the imagination and saves commuters a few bucks. Each rider's motorcycle is branded with your podcast logo, like a mobile sponsorship deal crossed with a superhero team.
Wait, we're doing Ubers on freaking motorcycles?
I guess so.
That seems out of control dangerous.
In an economy where even Shoma is budgeting for snacks, this partnership turns justice into a rideable brand experience, thrilling, memorable, and powered by tokusatsu. Download Henshin and Go, because justice doesn't detour, but it might take passengers.
That's a pretty good tagline, at least.
That is a good tagline. I do think that this business requires common riders to be real, which I think is a little bit of a hurdle that we'll have to get over. And then, like you said, it sounds a little dangerous. I don't know if we're going to get people to sign waivers that say we can kill them, but hey, maybe we can. I don't know.
So I guess the most realistic version of that you could kind of do is if you had a police scanner for your city. You could listen to the police scanner, hear where they're going, and then find a rider to pick up and be like, "Yo, I heard there was gunshots fired on the corner of 42nd and Vine. I'm gonna drive you over there. Let's go. This will be fun." And then like you drive people to active crime scenes.
That's amazing.
Like
What
right? Like that's like basically the equivalent of what we're saying.
it is, yeah. Dude, that's so good. Just like, well, what if you could do it like, if you could hop in like an active police cruiser, like let's just say every cop car, there's a third row. So you have the front row where the cop rides, and then there's the second row where like a criminal would be, but then there's a third row, and those doors are just always open. So if you see a parked cop car, you can just get in it, and then you can just stay in it while the cop car drives around, and you're allowed to get out whenever you want. So that way, like maybe you're going to a crime scene, maybe you're just going back to the police station, but you get a free ride, but you have no control over where it goes.
I mean, that sounds. I would probably do that.
I would not. It sounds terrible, but some people might. It
I think I
certainly
would do
sounds
that.
interesting.
Like especially like if I was bored some night, and it probably like I would almost guarantee that like when I go to the bar and do trivia and stuff, it would definitely probably be a drinking night too. I could 100% see myself getting in a cop car and just being like, "Yo, let's go," and then just like follow, like see where we're going, and it'd be highly entertaining to me because of the alcohol mainly.
Yeah,
But it would definitely like get rid of my marker of this might be dangerous, and I would just do it. I think I'm in.
Here's what you do: you get in the cop car, then you call whoever is at the place you're going to, and tell them to start breaking the law. So then, hopefully, the cop goes to that place to investigate.
That's genius. That's like a layered Uber.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that's a genius. That's even better. Like I want to go grocery shopping today, and you just call Giant and be like, "Hey, there's someone running around naked outside. You guys should call the cops." And you just run out in the street real quick and find the cop, and away you go.
Well, even better, you just hop in the police car and then you just call in a bomb threat for the place you want to go to.
So yeah, I didn't want to make it extra aggressive because like my first instinct again, because America, I was gonna say like, "Oh, there's a shooter outside," but that seems too real. So at least like someone running around naked is like a victimless crime, basically.
That's true. That's a little bit more fun. Yeah. Carl's has some questions. First question: Toby, is the Yakuza story you mentioned a few weeks ago your 9/11 like Josh's 9/11 of Marvel Snap? I don't remember what my 9/11 of Marvel Snap even was. I remember saying it, but I don't remember what my grievance was.
What was my grievance about Yakuza?
I also don't remember. You talked about playing the video games. I don't know if you have.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
If I was mad about something enough to complain about it, or maybe when I said Kiryu, I thought Kiryu was gonna die, and then I got all sad and upset, and
oh yeah, was that your 9/11?
That'd be the no, that was just like reliving horrible parts of my life.
Fair enough.
that was a video game reshattering my already soft insides about horrible things.
And to be clear to everyone out there, whatever I said was my 9/11 of Marvel Snap, was definitely me just being provocative. I don't actually think it was my 9/11.
I want to clarify that I was being completely honest with my story.
It does sound very funny though that I said something was my 9/11 and it involved Marvel Snap.
It was probably when like they got bought out and it was down for 2 days, and you and half the Discord like pooped your pants in sadness, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to get back in my account, even though the new company bought him and it'll be safe." I'm losing 3 days on my 30-day battle pass. I'll never get my cards. Wah wah wah.
That is 1,000% what it was. Can I let me pause and tell you a very quick Marvel Snap story, because this is a game.
Got to that. You know what? I'm glad we sussed this back out.
We did.
That feels good.
We figured it out. So I mean, just as an example for why I shouldn't be spending my time in Marvel Snap like I am, they just came out with a week-long limited time game mode, brand new game mode. You have to make like special decks for it. It's got different rules and stuff. It's kind of wild and crazy. You can play it and you get to complete like missions for it, and you unlock like a special currency. And basically, someone did the math, and to get the ultimate prize in that game mode, if you completed every mission along the way throughout the entire week of the mode, you were 100% accurate. You didn't miss any of them. You still wouldn't have enough currency to buy the card that is the main goal of this mode, and you have to spend real money to get extra gold to be able to buy it. And that was my point of just like, you know what? I'm not even playing this mode. I'm not even trying, because why would I try to be perfect for an entire week only to then continue to have to spend money to get a dumbass card I don't care about?
Do you remember how much, like, if you ran the perfect week, was it $2 for the card? Was it $5 for the card? Or don't you know?
I don't know exactly how much additional gold, but it was additional gold. Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. The whole economy of that game is really messed up in general. Still, like they're trying to fix it, but it's just kind of a weird setup in general, because cards, if you price them out versus real money, are like $100 a piece. You're never like actually putting money in and buying them in that way, but like technically that's what the currency would like correlate to.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of fucked in general. But yeah, that one in particular was just like, what are we doing here, people? What are we even doing here? Let's see. Carl goes on and says, second, has there ever been any confirmation of scheduling issues with Longo during the show's production? It just felt off. Here's this insanely cool character with one of the best transformations and powers in the series, and he gets taken out way too easily. Then the very next week, we get Jeep debuting with what looks like a discount version of Shoma's transformation. It really gave the impression that Longo's actor couldn't commit to filming anymore, and they had to rush and exit to keep things moving. I think we did actually hear that. I don't know if we have confirmation of it, but that's definitely what I heard people talking about, was that he had other commitments and couldn't film as much, and was only ever going to be part-time and stuff. Because yeah, if you kind of look at the trajectory of characters, you would have like set him up to be later than when he died, right? Like the pushing him out on the street and forcing the confrontation with Shoma feels like a thing that should have happened maybe a little bit later. But yeah, I don't know for sure, but I definitely heard that about the filming schedule. Carl says, you all take care. Hopefully the next ride will be a lot sooner. This ride leaves a mark. Sincerely, Carl. So thanks very much, Carl, and Jordan, and Shade for the emails this week.
You all did good jobs. We're very proud of you.
We're very, very proud of you here. Gold stars for everyone. If you're out there and you want a gold star yourself, you can send us in emails at cast@commonwritersucks.com. Also, of course, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/thecommentwriters is the address to get there. And we hope you check it out. You can get access to the Discord and access to all of our bonus content, which is quite numerous at this point. If you like X-Aid or O's or Boon Boomjer, you can get those full series. And yeah, putting out new stuff every single week.
And not even that, the introduction of our genius idea of free tiering the beginning of everything. So if you don't want to pay right away, definitely come check some watch-alongs out. We don't have a ton of series, but I'm sure there's one that a lot of people relate to, or they always wanted to see. And you can even watch the first, like, you can try to block us out if you really wanted to, and just watch the episode and be like the old YouTube commenters and say, "I wish these two would shut the fuck up. I'm trying to steal this video and watch it for free." So even just do that. You know,
Something
waste some time with us. Yeah, something for everybody. Waste some time with us. Do what you got to do.
Speaking of doing what you got to do, Toby, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
On Twitter, it's Life of Tobes. On YouTube, it's Tobes Plays. And on Retro Achievements, it's Tobes Plays as well.
And for me, I'm mainly on Blue Sky these days. You can find me over there at meek.lol. You can find the show on Blue Sky too, which is at commonwritersucks.com. And yeah, that is those are the main places outside of Discord. So we'll be back next time to cover episode 40, finally hitting 4-0. We hope that you watch that, you come back here and talk about it with us because that's super fun to do. But in the meantime, we hope you have a great week. Peace.